Welcome to Conversations with the Genius. Real talk, raw truth, powerful conversations. And I have a fellow genius. Listen, if you've been following me or her, I think we've had a couple conversations, but it's never enough talk because we have talks all the time. And I wanted to bring one of those conversations to the forefront and let the little birdies out there kind of get in on what we be talking about and the things that you be saying, the way you pour into people. And, you're so optimistic. It's almost annoying. Have y'all ever met somebody who's just, it's like, I want to complain today and I want to be mad at the world and I want to go through it. And you talk to them and it's like, but God, and always got a word and always got something to say. But real talk, first of all, Brooklyn is in the building.
I was about to scream so loud. Brooklyn is in the building. What we talking about?
And when you talk about balance and you talk about someone who very aware of their environment but not a product of it, has certain circumstances but not a victim of the circumstances, dance to, I want to say, the beat of your own drum, but you're just you and you're an example. So anyway, enough of that. Give it up for Jubilee, everybody. Make some noise. Whoever's, if you're watching on
The
YouTube or
millions
your
and
phone,
millions of viewers.
speak
That's who's
that.
watching.
Speak that.
You're my genius.
Speak that.
I'm Jubilee.
Brooklyn. How did that create Jubilee? And is Jubilee your real name?
So there's a whole story behind my name, right?
Let's get into it.
People think my mama named me Jubilee, but my mama did not name me Jubilee. So I legally changed my name about 20 years ago.
Jubilee, I never knew that.
Yeah, I was born as Cody, right? So Codie.
Okay.
If you knew me from birth to like 17, like up to high school, you knew me as Cody. But then when I was 17, we went to a ministry that taught about the significance of names. And so my dad and my bonus mom, they changed their names and then they started calling me a nickname, Jubilee. Like, oh, you're just joyful and you're vibrant and all of the things. So that was what they started calling me. And it stuck. It stuck. And then I was old enough to make a decision on whether or not I was going to keep it or just let it be a nickname or what have you. And I'm like, nah, I'm Jubilee. So I had gotten married when I was 23. And that time you had to have your husband sign and all the things. So I got married and then went down to the court and did all the things and then legally changed my name to Jubilee.
I never knew that story.
Mm-hmm.
And I always thought Jubilee was your real name. So when I asked you that just now, I thought you was going to say yeah. But it is your real name, and I'm here for that.
It is. It is. It's been 20 plus years. Some people decided they didn't want to call me that. I'm like, well, I ain't going to answer because it's my name and it aligns with who God has called me to be. And I've had to go through quite a bit of things to become my name from the inside out. So I hold tightly. My grandmother, she'll slip up every now and then, but it's not for lack of trying, So I'm not mad when people call me my former name. I'm not mad at it. But for people that decided, oh, well, I'm just not going to call you that. I'm going to call you what your mama named you. Nah, that's disrespectful. And I ain't going to answer you. So call me Jubilee or don't call me at all.
All right, Jubilee. Brooklyn, though. Brooklyn, how did Brooklyn raise you, make you?
Brooklyn is a beautiful place. And as a 80s baby, 90s kid, I think I was very like sheltered, I was very sheltered because the streets were not safe. Like, when I was a kid, we lived on Rutland Road and 95th Street, gunshots blazing.
Shout out to the 90s.
I mean, my grandmother, she would go downstairs to see who got shot and who was getting on the ambulance. It was that kind of thing. So my mom didn't let us like go outside like that, not even for the block parties. I'm like, but the street is blocked off. No.
Yeah.
I was the kid that was looking in the window,
Yeah.
watching everybody else, because it wasn't safe. And I was a young lady, and my mom always felt the way about that. Like, boys, that's one thing, but you as a young lady, you got to stay inside. Like, no, I couldn't even go to the store or anything like that. So that was like my upbringing. So some things I didn't learn how to do until I was older, like ride a bike. I learned to ride a bike because my
Mm.
brother taught me. He taught himself how to ride a bike when he was, I guess, 14, and then he taught me when I was 13. That's how I learned to like ride a bike. I still can't really roller skate, but I am good company at the roller skating rink. If I fall, I just go into the push-ups real quick. Like, we good. Nobody don't gotta
Yo.
be embarrassed. You just gotta live your life.
Yo.
So yeah, that was my childhood. Brooklyn taught me to be street savvy, to know how to chuck and jive and move, and how to be aware of my surroundings, how to advocate for myself, stand up for myself, and how to make sure that I was in the right place at the right time, because you could get caught up. So
This specific conversation, I want to talk about two things. I want to focus on, my hat says insert heartbreak here. Shout out to my girl Erica. This is her brand, and she built it off of heartbreak. She's turning her heartbreak into fuel and create a whole clothing line behind it, quotes and all of that. And I'll leave it in the description. But I felt like this hat and what she represents will correlate with our conversation, because you talk about you being married, being divorced, and what that did to you. But before we get into the divorce, I want to know, who was Jubilee prior to getting married?
that's a great question, because I recently figured out maybe I didn't know.
Mm.
Like, Jubilee was a church girl. I was a church girl, but I always was like a people person, social butterfly, always a creative, like singing on the choir. I've been singing since I was 3 years old, and let my mother and my father tell it. I sang some Whitney Houston song when I was 3 years old. So being a creative has always been a part of me. And that's one thing that I know for sure. Like, that didn't get lost in the scuffle at any given point. Like, that was always a part of my life. So I know that for sure. And like I said, people person, I loved school. Definitely, overachiever, just loved learning. So did a lot of school. And then when school was done, I did more school. Always a leader, right? Even in my teenage years, that's a lot of times it would be my mouth that would get me in trouble, because I
Yeah.
was things that people would
Same.
think they didn't want to say, right?
Mhm.
Like, now that's wrong, and I don't care if Sister Anna is 67, she talking crazy, but I would get in trouble for that. Because, like, well, you can't, don't talk to Sister Anna like that. She's your elder. It's like, but she
But
wrong.
she could talk, say what she want to say. Yeah.
Period. And it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
so I used to, get in trouble for that stuff. And it was a mentor of mine that spoke to my dad, because, like, I had a year of high school. I was just doing what I wanted to do, and going to class was not one of them, because I was in the streets. I was in Burger King. I was in the gospel choir singing about Jesus. And then I would cut class from first period to eighth period and then brag about it. Wow. So I'm like, so a mentor. I finally started getting myself back together, back on track. I had to make up all the classes that I missed.
Yeah.
I failed everything. And the mentor said to my dad, people just don't like her because she speaks the truth.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that is something that has always been a part. Like, it had to be cultivated. But for me to be just a truth seeker and a truth speaker, that's always been a part of me. And it was some people along the way that affirmed that, so that my family or nobody else wouldn't try to shut that down, because it needed to be cultivated and not extinguished.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
Yep.
you meet him.
Yeah, right. So I graduated out of college. I had a college boo who I thought, I actually can't say I thought he was the one, but we had a good thing going, and it didn't work out. And then I was in a cult church when I graduated.
Why do you say that? Why you say it was the cult church?
It was the man be putting up, Obama got a white mama. He be putting up crazy stuff. Like, it started out good teaching, and then it turned into something that was more centrally focused on the leader and not Christ. So it turned out to be more about the leader's ego, and it was less about Christ. And so that's how it's a sign that something is moving away from, God's will. Anyhow, so now I'm going into my first year of teaching, and that's where I met my ex-husband. He was a music teacher, and I started as a third grade teacher, no, a fifth grade teacher. And we dated. We kept it low, 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 low for the low, low, low because we
Just out
didn't
of privacy, not secrecy, just privacy.
out of privacy. Sometimes it was secrecy too.
But yeah,
I
it's a difference between privacy and secrecy, though.
Yeah, I think it was both. I think when it started, it was secrecy and privacy, and then when it continued, it was more privacy because it was just like, don't we're not gonna get caught in the same place together. Like we're gonna act like hello and keep it moving. Like we don't even want you to know that anything is going on at all. Like it was that serious.
So being raised in a Christian household,
Yeah.
those vows, that husband and wife,
Yep.
if you could wait till marriage, that whole thing is instilled.
Yes.
All those things was something that you was raised with.
Yep. Yep.
And so when you decided to get married, you was sticking to those things.
I did. I got married when I was 23. I was a virgin when I was 23. And a lot of people, they gave my dad slack. Like my dad asked me to promise him when I was 14 that I wouldn't have sex till I was married. At the age of 14, I wasn't even thinking about it. So it didn't
Right.
make nothing to me to make the promise. And, it was my dad. He had been, absent for a few years out of me and my older brother's life. When he came back, he had found Christ. He got married. And so we had started to connect and kind of build our relationship. And I started to develop just a profound respect for him because he shared his own personal testimony with me in bits and pieces. And he asked me that. And I'm like, all right, sure. I think it was the perfect time because maybe if I was 16, 17 and was already like way in the boys and all of that, it might have been different. But at 14, it's like I wasn't even checking for that at all. So I made it and I kept it.
But let's stay there real quick before we go back into the marriage part, because growing up in New York City, 14, hormones is raging, 15, 16, high school, we've all been there, right? How did you get through that? How the temptation? Did you feel temptation? Like, how did you get through that age period and not, want to experiment and experience what was going on around you? You get what I mean?
Yeah, it's interesting because like when we were 12 years old, the church we was going to at the time called in some like presenters to show us all the different ways you could get STDs.
Yeah.
Pictures
Yeah.
of chlamydia, gonorrhea, syphilis, or AIDS, all the different things. And like that was our introduction to it at 12. So I think there were some key experiences that I had leading up to it that caused me not to be as curious about it. Right. And then in my home, like we weren't exposed to that. And I wasn't the kid that was gonna go look for porno or it just wasn't a
Just
thing.
wasn't your thing.
You know what I wanted to do? Like be on a choir, go run from this church to that church, like my bad thing was I'm gonna go to my friend's house and not tell my parents and but it was real kid stuff. Like I think, me being like sheltered, that's where it helped because I didn't even have the visuals, you know what I'm saying, in my mind to be like, oh my God, I can't wait. It wasn't even a desire, but I did have friends at the time.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait. When I get with this dude, if I really like him and he like me, we doing it. And it's just like, okay.
It just wasn't your thing. It wasn't your. Okay, I get that. Now, so now you're getting married. So now you're all of this is new to you. And he kind of, would you say he kind of taught you a lot of things just about? Do you feel like he taught you just even being a woman, even being, did he teach you? What did you learn from getting into that you didn't know before?
I think it just one, at the time I felt safe, right? Because that's really important. Safe enough to like explore and to be vulnerable. So I think that's probably what I pulled from that, just the ability to be safe and vulnerable with somebody who loves you and you love them back, because that's such a a sacred space,
Mm-hmm.
And I think like, nah, he didn't teach me how to be a woman per se, but I think because I believe that I was raised to be a wife, right? So marriage provided the opportunity for me to express, like what I had learned and then be stretched in it because there's a bunch of stuff I didn't know that I learned just, being married. And like there's no there's no real training for say. I know I say I was like brought up to be a wife, but you don't really know what it's like until you're in a marriage and you have to show up as that. And he also made me a mother, you know what I mean?
Right.
So those are the things that came out of it that I always, cherish and value.
You are a boy mom. Shout out to your kids. And I don't want to get too deep into the marriage. I don't even want to get into the intricate details. 'Cause I'm really focused on this conversation. I'm really focused on the heartbreak of it all, the damage that it did to you and how you came out of it.
Yeah.
So, and then we're gonna get into what else you survived, like, cause come on. But I want to start here because we have to use heartbreak as fuel. We
Okay.
have to use what we've been through and not like dwell in it, but like use it. You know what I mean? And I feel like you have. So I want to get to where do you think the marriage started to go wrong? And did you lose yourself? Remember, you said you didn't know who you were before. You didn't think you knew who you were before. Then you became a wife and you was trying to do everything right.
Yep.
And then it went wrong somewhere. And again, based off your faith, you might have blamed yourself. You might have been like, what did I do wrong? This is this. I have to make this work. So I want to know how you felt during that process.
Yeah. I think things started to take a turn. First of all, there were always issues, right? And I think now people always talking about green flags, red flags. I think
Mm-hmm.
at that time, you know, I didn't know that these things specifically that came up, right? Like gaslighting is a term that a lot of people use, but I
Yeah.
really have experienced it. Stonewalling, where you go for days and you don't speak for to somebody. Like that kind of stuff is I was already experiencing, but I didn't realize that those were red flags, right? I'm thinking, okay, you're pissed off or what have you. And so I'm trying to navigate around that, not realizing that that's like very unhealthy. I know that it negatively impacted me, but I'm just thinking, oh, that's your way. That's just what you do when you're upset. Not realizing like, no, it's not healthy. And doing that for long periods of time really does lend itself to abuse. And that's really what it became. So I think things started to shift when I started to ask myself those kinds of questions about who I am, right? Like when I started to self-reflect, because I think
Yeah.
for the duration of it, I was more so okay. I'm the church person. I'm defined by these external things.
Mm.
Defined by okay, I'm the praise and worship leader. I sing. I'm a school leader, assistant principal, dean,
Mm.
principal, all the things. But I think by the time I started getting into my 30s, especially like my mid 30s, I'm like, no, what am I here for? Like I have served in this way, and I started feeling like a lot of things were performative, you know,
Mm.
because it's just like this is just what we do. And you get in a car and you having a knockout drag out argument, and he never put hands on me, right? But I mean, like it's an intense argument that you go into oh, tell me who can stand before someone to give a praise, and then you get back in the car like then you spend a whole week not talking. It's like this is not aligning, because the piece that I'm talking to people about and singing about is like I don't feel like I have that in my own spirit and in my own
Mm.
home. Like what's really good? Like this is a misalignment here. And I think I had come to accept stuff like that for years until I paused, right? I went to a retreat. I gave a
Mm.
shout out to my mentor just a couple weeks ago on One Cup of Jubilee. And it was because she had an incubator where you would come, you would pray, you would fast, and just get prophetic insight. And that was the day that kind of pricked me to start asking these questions, because she kept on saying stuff like your voice print, like you deliverance, and your voice has joy in it, and healing and
The
light.
first time I heard voice print, you said that. You the one told me that, and you got that from her.
I did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dr. C. Yep.
Yeah.
So before that, I didn't really explore it. I think there was a lot of just kind of frustration. I was writing songs and I was putting them in my cabinet. I had never been to a studio. right? My first time going into the studio to sing ever, I was like 37, 36,
Mm.
that.
Mm.
And so these things came on the heels of that conversation that I talked about with like Dr. C. And it's when I started to self-reflect and ask these questions, that's when stuff started to go left in my marriage. Because prior to that, I'm just trying to do everything right. Like you said, I'm even if I don't agree, even if you didn't keep your end of the bargain, you said you were gonna go to therapy, you said you were gonna do this. Even if you didn't, I'm still trying to show up and do what I gotta do, even when it's hurting me.
Yeah.
Even when I know that you're doing something that's wrong to me, I'm still taking it and I'm taking it to the Lord. And I'm asking the Lord to speak to you, but I'm not changing and I'm not pushing back. But when I got back from that retreat and started asking those questions and reevaluating my own life, like I'm a wife, a mother, a praise and worship leader, I'm a principal, all these things. These are roles that I play.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
I started asking, no, who am I outside of the roles that I perform and the functions that I fulfill? Who is Jubilee? Then when I started getting answers, I started not accepting different things that I was accepting before. Like, no, you're not. Like, why am I writing songs and putting it in the cabinet? Can you help me with this? I want to record. Like, I have something to say. I have something I want to share. That pricked something, and insecurity started showing up, jealousy started showing up, control started showing up, manipulation started showing up, and I had to make a choice because I didn't know that that's who I was sleeping
Mm.
next to.
Mm. Mm.
Turned into
Mm.
betrayal. I didn't know that that's who I was sleeping next to, and I really didn't want a divorce. I tried everything, really tried everything, 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 but I realized that it takes two. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it takes two. And I'm not saying by any means I'm perfect. I didn't have anything to work on. But the point is that whatever it was, I was willing to work on it. Right. But we all have blind spots. So for me, let's go to therapy 7 different times. I'm like, let's go to this one. I don't like that one. I don't like that one. This one's too early. This one's too late. This one's online. I don't like his spirit. All different reasons why. He didn't want to participate. But my thing is, if it was good for the goose, it's good for the gander. So if I'm suggesting it, then I'm sure I'm going to receive the help from it as well. I don't have a problem taking feedback. If it's something I'm doing, I'm willing to work on it, right? But it takes two. And so we had me, I was willing, and then we had him, he was not willing. And then he was still engaging in behaviors that were emotionally and verbally abusive. So then I had to make a decision, which was really hard because the whole thing growing up in the church, oh, God hates divorce. I'm like, but this is very unhealthy. Like somebody is watching me while I sleep. I am being locked out of my bedroom.
Oof.
There are threats going on. Like, so I'm not understanding. You want me to stay here for the sake of who? Because I don't think that my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ would want me to stay in this kind of scenario. I so I prayed about it, and people go, well, did you think the Lord told you to get a divorce? I'm like, no. I think He released me after I was obedient and I did the things. I did my work. I did my part. I did the pray. I did the fast, and I did the small group, the book study, the serving dinner, and leaving notes that ended up being crumpled up and thrown in the garbage. Right? Try all the things. Right? After I did that at the altar one day, I believe that the Lord released me, right, to make the decision because I had done my part. And I had been questioning it for months before that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it took probably like 7 months before I actually filed because I wanted to make sure that I was in order. I wanted to make sure that I wasn't moving prematurely or out of emotion or whatever the case may be. And then I filed, and it's one of the best things that has ever happened, even though it was one of the worst things that has ever happened.
What made it one of the worst things though?
I think the betrayal, the splitting up of my family. Like, are you kidding me? Like, to go through a whole life and not sleep with nobody to get with this person, like, like, man, I could have been swinging around and stuff. Like, no, I'm kidding.
That still wouldn't have brought no. You know what I mean? It wouldn't have brought no. I
It was,
mean, it'd be some stories to talk about by now, but
that's just not even my,
yeah,
like, I'm joking, but the whole thing is like I really was committed, to having to say to him, why are you talking to me like that? Like, I'm not a prostitute. Like, why are you talking? You are the only man I've ever been with. Like, only. And to have that person that I trusted so deeply, and like I said earlier, was so vulnerable with, to literally turn my own weaknesses against me and the intimacy
That's
against me. I'm
hold.
so
Let me say something. Let me say
yes,
something. I
yes,
say all the time. When you turn somebody's weakness against them, the
help.
vulnerability that they shared with you against them, when you throw that back in their face, when you uh, are supposed to be a safe space for somebody, and you turn that,
Pretty bad.
that's equal to death to me. Like that's equal to like killing some, because it kills you spiritually. Like it really like messes with your soul. Like it really does. And I don't like that. I don't like that at all. So
Yeah.
I understand that
Yeah.
completely.
That was really hard because I'm like, I'm not a play dirty kind of woman.
Yeah.
I just feel like, whatever's done in the dark, it'll come out in the light. That's why I really believe in integrity and just being an ethical person. Like, because you think you're getting away with something, but 2, 3, 9 years down the line, it's gonna come to the surface.
Always.
So vengeance was never my thing. Revenge, like I used to drive by his car. I say this all the time. Like, you live 15, 20 minutes from me. I drive the car that I paid for that you're still driving on the side of the road. I never busted your tires out, broke your windows. Why? Because I just feel like I believe God's word where he says, God is not mocked. Whatsoever a man sows, that shall he also reap. So I
Yeah.
just feel like you can't never get away from that. So I think,
Hmm.
but to answer your question, like that piece about the whole like betrayal, the turning of my weakness and, intimate things about me against me and using those things as weapons against me. And I recovered from those things and I'm still recovering. I just got a new therapist 2 weeks ago.
Shout out
The
to
other
therapy.
let me tell you, Jesus and therapy. The second thing, which is even more heartbreaking than the first, is his separation and abandonment of my sons. That trumps everything. I take myself out the equation because like, and I'm not even saying, oh, because I'm an adult I can handle it. It's not that, because
I hate that though.
it broke me down. But the
Hmm.
part that really gets me is his absence in his son's lives, because I'm raising my young black kings, my young black teens, as a single mom in a world where you still exist as their dad. It ain't like you passed away. It ain't like you even in the military. Like, you are here, you alive, and you made a choice
Yeah.
that because you were going to disassociate yourself from me for whatever reason, and that's fine, right? Because whatever, you hate me, whatever. But we created these two children together, and a boy needs a dad. Children need their dad, right? But even more so, our young men, right? And so that's the part that keeps me on my knees praying to God, because that's the part that tinge of red and sadness. Like, I am super hopeful and I ask God to like fill the voids, and we got family, like my dad is involved and my brothers, and we got a village, but that's still not a replaceable, role or position. So that is what is the worst that happened out of my divorce.
So how did you insert your heartbreak into turning it into fuel, turning it into not living in that, but using it?
Yeah. I mean, I wrote it in Get Out of Bad. Oh, I'm better, not bitter. I'm a queen, I'm a winner. And there ain't no wrong you could do to me that God won't make right. Like, one, God will make good of the bad you gave to me. Turn an
That's my
off key
song.
note to a melody. Take a flat line hard and make it beat. Make a dungeon a place of victory. God will make good of the bad you gave to me. Turn an off key note to a melody. Take a flat line hard and make it beat. Make a dungeon a place of victory.
Make a dungeon a place of victory.
Like, I'm not lost. I'm not hopeless.
Your head is still straight.
Yeah. I'm sad. I feel depressed. I want the covers over my head. I don't want
yeah.
to talk to nobody. Life is extremely unpredictable. It's extremely frustrating. Like, all the things. And I allowed myself to feel all the things. I did not take no shortcuts. I don't want nobody to feel for me, tell me how to grieve, because it's a loss, and
It
loss
is a
is all
lot
grief.
correct.
But the
Listen, when you a breakup,
Yes.
a loss of a friendship,
Yes.
uh, falling out with a family member that you're close with,
Grief.
any type of change, even
Yes.
moving from one side of town to the other, leaving a school, losing, you have to understand, that's loss.
That's right.
And sometimes it affects you the same way a death will,
And
or
it is a death.
a trauma. It's real.
It is. It is. And that is like I took my dad out to Lindenwood.
Yeah, shout out to Lindenwood.
Yeah.
Period.
And because I had to move back. So we had a house, we had to sell the house. I went back and forth like, I don't want nothing. And I'm like, nah, let me keep this house for me and my kids because I want to have stability. Ex-husband didn't want to keep it. So we ended up selling it. And I ended up moving back in with my bonus mom and my dad, right?
Okay.
Sleep, 1 bedroom. My sons were sleeping in, upstairs, and I was sleeping on the couch most nights while recording Joy Uprising and being a principal of a school. And so we shared that 1 bedroom, or I would just sleep on the couch if So during that time, there's a reason why I started here. So when I moved back in, I realized that nobody that I was around had ever experienced this before in terms of going through a divorce, and that, of course, that included me. And I didn't know how I was going to journey through. I just knew that I didn't need anyone trying to give me a prescription or tell me how to journey through. So I took my dad out, like, I love you, you're my superhero, like, you always hold me down, but I don't need fixing. I just it's probably gonna be hard because I don't know how to start. I'm in my metamorphosis. That is a messy process. And so please just support me by allowing me to journey through it the best way I know how. And that's that, and those are the kinds of conversations that I had to start having to begin healing. And lastly, like that whole thing, being better, not bitter. So when my ex-husband walked out of our very last therapy session, I stayed and I kept on going because I said, I can't control what you do and what you decide. And I was like, why did you leave? Like, oh, I need a break. I'm like, but how are we going to work on our marriage? It's like, well, I need a break. But that still ain't had nothing to do with me in terms of my own growth development. And so I kept going.
Do you think the decisions that you made, like you said, the finding out who you are, and like you said, you kept going in therapy, and that strength comes from something? Is
Yeah.
it, you think that's just something that's in someone, or you have to find it and build it? Like, you hear about people all the time who stay in abusive situations, and no matter
Stuff.
what that situation is, or still, people are doing them dirty, and they can't walk away from them. They a bunch of things, and it's like, where does that strength come from? Is it in you, or is something that you just find?
I think it's both. I think we're all born with a measure of strength. And I also think that what we believe and what we meditate on is also what we attract, So I don't think there's any way I would have been able to make it through anything that I've been through without Jesus, without therapy, and without my village, right? And it makes me think of just like quicksand, like if we go into quicksand today, baby, unless somebody extends their hand and start pulling you towards them, you're not getting out because there's nothing to hold on to, no matter how much willpower you have, right? However, I believe if you're in quicksand, right, and you're like, help, and you're starting to vocalize and you're starting to meditate, like, I got to get out of here, I got to survive. I believe God sends people, right? Almost like how the white blood cells are when we get an infection. The white blood cells are like, oh, we on it. We getting this thing out of here. I believe God sends people when you've set in your mind, nah, this is not for me. This is wrong. It's abusive. It's misaligned. Whatever it is, I believe God sends the help, right? But I think sometimes we do get stuck in situations because we don't believe we should be out of those situations. And I think that that is our own self-work, to understand our self-worth. And I think sometimes we get stuck in an environment because we don't know our worth. And because of that, we don't do our work, right? So it's interchangeable. And I think when we make a decision like, nah, I'm getting out, because how many times do people get out of situations, right? I'm moving out. They pack up and they move and then they end up going right back because their mindset didn't change. You know what I'm saying? So you could change location, but if your mindset doesn't change, you're really still in the same place.
And that's with any cycle.
Period.
Just to be transparent, I don't think I've ever felt like, I mean, to keep it a band, I don't think I've ever felt like, even down to parents, right, that I was first priority
Mm,
in regards to like there were sacrifices made out of obligation to me. Like this is how I feel. It might not be the truth. I'm just saying what I feel. There
mm,
was you're my mom, you're my dad, so y'all made obligations and things happened because it's only right. I'm your child, but I also feel like I never been with friends, with relationships. I don't think I've been the priority how I put people as priority. I've never been on a pedestal as I've put people on a pedestal. I feel like I've given more heart and more love than it has been given to me. And after a while, that, like I said earlier, eats at your soul. That messes you up. That kind of is it. After a while, it's heavy, right? I'm not perfect, but I've never did to people what's been done to me. Um, and this is not a woe was me. This is not like, you know what I mean? This is just this is real. Like, like you said, I found myself, not no more, but I found myself back in cycles of meeting people, friends, whatever, in relationships, whatever. And it's dope in the beginning, but somewhere I'm back in the I'm being disrespected. There's a line who you presented yourself as, you're not that person. And I'm after a while that your heart is heavy. It like I said, it's grief, and on top of losing people and all of that. And I was talking to my friend yesterday actually, and I was just going through my story, and we was sharing stories, and I said, the same thing that hurts you is the same thing that can heal you. And I say this: love hurts. Sometimes it's the thing that you don't that will mess you up the most. But love also will heal that. It's like water. Water can drown somebody. Water drowned my brother, right? He drowned, right? May he rest in peace. So I could be mad at water. I could be scared of water. I can be like, but I can't. I have to take a shower and I have to drink water to live. We could be mad at God, right? But I can't live without God. Like, you know what I'm saying? Um I could be mad at people just because they left me. I feel like they left me, they died, or they did me wrong, because I really have no, and I'm getting better. But like I said, all those things happen repeatedly. You will people will leave a bad taste in your mouth. So I have to pray every day that God helps me maintain and maneuver and get through people. Jonathan McReynolds has a song about that. And you but I cannot talk to people. We are humans. We have to communicate. We have to have conversation. So it's very hard to just still trust and still believe in and still communicate and still be with and around the people that hurt you, because those things you still have to heal you. Do you get what I'm saying?
I do.
So with all that being said, did it make you hate men? Was you mad at God because why did you put me in this marriage? And
No, I wasn't mad at God, but I did. It's funny because I just came across 2016 journal where I wrote I regret getting married.
mm,
You know, um, I didn't stay there long though. Because I realized, and I won't say it was just a moment because it was a long ass moment. I always say like, you don't want to turn a moment into a movie, but sometimes it be a movie. Sometimes it's like as
mhm,
long as a movie, if not longer. So definitely, I went through my time of just feeling regretful because it's like, how could you do this to me? Like even if you felt like it wasn't working anymore, or I didn't meet your desire, or whatever the issue was, which never really was clear outside of his own just insecurities. Um, why did it have to become so ugly and dusty?
Yeah.
'Cause, you know what I'm saying? Like, I held you
Yeah.
in such high regard, and even when you were doing the things, I still held you down, and I still was actually trying to preserve your image, my image, our image. That
Not
was
only that,
actually part of the downfall too, because I had to let that go. But I would never let anybody tear you down. Or so the fact that it was so easy for you to do that, to me,
it's something that you can't wrap your head around. It's like,
it hurt.
me, like, what?
Yes,
Like,
very much so.
and we shouldn't put all our trust into to another human being anyway, but like, come on, like,
Yeah,
what?
I
Out
mean,
of all people, what?
that part. That's all it is. 'Cause it's like and I was also very naive, right? Like, this is something that's like one of my weak points, because I'm so trusting, right? Or at least at that point I was, right? I still have high levels of trust now until you give me a reason to not. Um, but if people ask what I'm recovering from, it's like I'm recovering from being naive,
Mm-hmm.
because I do trust you wholeheartedly. Like, if somebody asks me to bet on you based on what I know about you and how you treated me, how you shown up, I'm always going to say, "Oh, I'm putting my whole $100 bill down, because I know you ain't gonna do that."
Juby, that's dope, and I love that about you. But everybody's guilty, and you have to prove that you're innocent to me. You get
I
what I mean?
Right. So I understand.
You get what I'm saying?
The side, like, of course he wouldn't. That was my thinking, because why would you do that? And plus, I'm looking at you at like how I look at my own self, like, well, I would never do that to you, so why would you do that to
That's
me?
a hard pill to swallow when you see that they will.
Like, I would have had negative 5,692 million points on Jeopardy, because I was wrong, right? Situations change, people's mentality shifts, or becomes exposed when you start to change. And I think that's really what it is. It's not that these things started to develop and they never were there before. It's that because I started to do my work on my own self and start trying to figure out who I was and where do I fit and where do I, that triggered something in him that brought out the worst in him.
Mm-hmm.
And people always say, well, do you think you had to get a divorce? Yes, because it takes two willing people, and I'm not going to stay in an abusive situation. However, had he been able to get to a place where it's like, nah, okay, I'm feeling away, and this is about me. This is not about you, wife. This is about me. I'm feeling away because of stuff I dealt with in my childhood, trauma I experienced. It really has nothing to do with you. Just that the way you're showing up for me right now in this evolution is. So let me go do my stuff.
Did you ever get that? Did you
Outcome.
ever get that apology? Did you ever get that explanation, that accountability, that ownership?
No.
Okay. I also feel like I wanna give you, huh?
I'm also not waiting for it.
I wanna give you. Wait, let me say there. There's gonna be apologies that you're never gonna get. We're never gonna get it. And another hard pill to swallow is that, and a little bit of our ego too. Because what you mean? Why can't you apologize to me? Why can't you take accountability? Like, how you just gonna live your life and move on? Normani has a song when she says, "The hearts didn't break down the middle." Like, why am I over here still going through it months after? Or I'm really trying to like get all my pieces together, and you're just living your life, but you never know what somebody's really internally going through. It might look like it, but you don't know. And call it karma, call it whatever. Life is going to work itself out. And I'm gonna say something I say all the time. Anybody that's ever did me wrong, I'm talking about the dirtiest, without me looking or asking, an update comes across my desk, right? And I don't wish bad on nobody, but it's a little nudge from God that be like, listen, let life work it out. You continue doing your work. I got this. We got this. Don't worry about nobody else. Forgive them. Forgive yourself. That's the one thing we have to do, is forgive ourselves for even being in situations. Forgive them, forgive ourselves. And you cannot sit there and lean on your own understanding about what and why. Just focus on me, and I'll clear everything up. That's my personal experience with heartbreak and things of that nature. And even to this day, I'm sparing a lot of people. And I'm getting to a point where, especially through these conversations, I'm gonna start opening up a little bit more, sharing my stories.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I haven't really opened up and shared my stories is because it's other people are involved in that story, and that will bust their lie that they've been going around about. If I start telling my truth, it's the truth, and it's gonna kind of like make other people look crazy because I've let you run with that narrative for so long. I've never told my side, and my side can really make you look. That facade you have is gonna be gone, and I've and to this day I've spared so many people, and I'll never there's things I'll never tell. There's things I'll never say. Like I think your integrity and how you've handled your ex-husband and that whole situation, you've been telling your story, but there's still a respect there. I'm never going to, again, I'm not going to, and I think some people know that. They know Mike's not gonna do that to me. Mike's not gonna. So I'm gonna. I don't know how people even live with that. Like how you live in knowing you know what I mean? But I will say it's time for me to start telling my story. And it's time for me to start telling the truth. It's time for me to start putting facts. It's time for me to start pulling receipts. And not that I'm bringing up old things, but it's time to just unleash my story, tell my life. I'm 36 years in, and a life has been lived.
Period.
And I can't worry about how that's gonna look, how you're gonna feel, because this whole time nobody cared about how I felt. They just did they dirt and went along like I was nothing. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
still gonna handle it with
Grace.
integrity,
Mm-hmm.
with morals, and with grace.
Mm-hmm.
So shout out to you for handling it with grace. And that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do everything with grace. Now, sometimes you gotta get your hands dirty, right? Sometimes you gotta, but with grace. You got something to say about that?
Yeah, I no, I just what you just said resonated with me because I wrote on my board in my bedroom, it's my story to tell. Because I was in prayer one day, and I'm not even sure. I go a lot of places in prayer. I'm reading my word,
Mm-hmm.
my devotional, but I just landed on this place of like what really is freedom? You know what
Mm.
I'm saying? Like if you can't speak about what you've journeyed through, like if I can't speak about what I've journeyed through without constantly worrying about how it's gonna impact other people, what they're gonna say. Like if I'm walking in truth, then what's the problem? If I'm speaking in love, then what's the problem, right? And I also think timing's important too, right? So yes, you've not really ever heard me talk because you're not going to see me get on any place and disparage, my ex-husband or any. And there's a bunch of people that connected themselves with him
Correct.
and didn't speak up about any of the stuff that was
And
happening.
chose a side when they didn't have to.
Chose aside. They came up. Some of them came up in my house.
Mm.
I mean, a lot went on, right? But I think a couple things. One, timing's important, right? And purpose is important
Mm-hmm.
because really, I ain't thinking about you in the
At
famous
all.
Beyonce. Like
At all.
I ain't sorry. Like I'm not thinking about you. You know what I'm thinking about? Making sure I raise my kids in the fear and admonition of the Lord. Like how's your mind? How's your health? Right. I'm thinking about how I'm going to continue to develop myself. How I'm going to pull in closer to Christ. How I'm going to heal. I am not thinking about you. Right. And when I feel triggered and when things happen, because something did happen a couple weeks ago, I got me a therapist. I'm gonna scream into a pillow or
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
to do my work, but you're not the central focus of my life.
Yeah.
You're
To
not
be clear. To
here.
be clear. To
You're
be
not,
clear.
so I will not be spending, a bunch of time thinking about that. But when it comes time, because the time will come, that's
Come
the
on.
thing. And what my self correction is to not suppress
Mm-hmm.
when time comes to try to preserve somebody else's image
Mm.
while I'm suppressing my own feelings and my own deliverance. I will not do that anymore. So if it's got to come out because this is the truth, and if you want to go ahead and lobby and say that that's a lie, you do that. But I'm not trying to really come for you. My work is being able to stand in truth and to speak from my perspective and what I experience. You don't have to like it.
And that's my
So
experience. Yeah. Yeah. I love that. In the midst of that, or was it after that, when did we get this first cancer diagnosis?
So that was within like the first 4 years of my marriage. It's like January 10th. I was told that I was pregnant. And then I went to an appointment for that because I'm like, no, I want a blood test to make sure I'm like really pregnant. We had been married at that time for about 4 years, and they were confirmed that I was pregnant. And then I was like, hey, but I got this lump, you know, that I had identified a few months back, but nobody took it seriously because I was just 26. And at that time, this is 2008, you don't get a mammogram or anything breast related till you're 40. So they're like, well, the insurance is not going to cover it. They basically sent me away. And my dad was always like, we should have sued them because
Real
we
bad.
had no right. So anyway, so now 3 months passed by. Now I'm pregnant. That brings me into the doctor's office, and I'm like, can we just check out this lump too? Check out the lump, do the biopsy. It's cancer. I'm like, I don't know, send it back. Let's do another one. Comes back again. It's cancer, and it's aggressive. And the pregnancy that you are currently, carrying is also exacerbating the cancer because it's feeding the hormone or whatever. So we need you to have an abortion. I'm like, I'm not doing that. So my ex-husband and I collectively decided, all right, we're going to keep the baby. But then 3 weeks after that, on Valentine's Day, I miscarried. So all of that happened within 3 weeks of each other, like 4 weeks, 4 years into our marriage. And I have to say, like, he was present. That's why I said I'm not like when people say everything was terrible or everything
Yeah,
was great, it's
there
like,
was some good times. I
yeah,
was gonna ask you, did it challenge your marriage?
yeah,
But
it
he used
did.
to. It did.
It did challenge it. I just wasn't aware. I wasn't aware. Stuff came out again, that whole weakness against me. It came out later on that it was something he resented me for, but I did not know that at the time. And it really hurt me when I found out because I didn't know that you were bothered by the fact that you had to support a wife that had cancer. And it really broke me. I was really shocked because I was like, what? Like I anyway, but during the time, um he was there, he was supportive, and he tried his best. I can't imagine what it's like to be a spouse of a sick, well, actually I could, because he had his own sickness issues too, but I can't imagine, I won't say that I was in his shoes to know what that felt like, to have a wife that was diagnosed with a really aggressive form of breast cancer. But we had my family, we had my village, and my family was very present. And so, he was there. I just didn't know that he had harbored negative feelings about the experience. And when we started going through all of the terrible times, that did come up to the surface.
So now we have the diagnosis. What's going through your head?
Jesus be a healer. That's the first thing I said. Then I called my daddy, and he started praying down, all the things. But I was shocked. Like, let me tell you something. I never thought it would have been cancer, especially because all of the doctors and the techs and like, oh, it's probably fibroadenoma. You're a young woman, you have dense breast. Like usually it's like a cyst or something like that. Like women your age don't get cancer. And to the point where I was at my first residency, I was a principal in residence at the time. I had just transitioned from teaching into leadership. And I took the phone call, the doctor's office called, uh, and it's like, yeah, this is the doctor. And I'm like, okay, yeah, like give me the news. Like tell me what you gotta tell me. And she was like, well, are you like in a private space? I'm like, oh yeah, I can get to a private space. Like, but why? She was like, well, I need you to come in. I'm like, no, I'm at work. Like, why I need to come in? And that went on for a couple minutes. Finally got to one of the adult bathrooms, went in, locked the door. And she was like, Mosley, because that was my last name at the time. Mosley is cancer. And I broke down because I'm really like, this lady is dragging it right now. Why do I need a private space to come into the office for her to just tell me that it's a cyst? But no, it's because it was cancer, and she didn't want to tell me over the phone. But I was so like, I'm good, that, I pushed her, and then she told me over the phone. And then, we went down to the office, and the whole process started from that.
And what was that process? Well, how did well not breaking the process all the way down, but
Yeah.
you did the chemo, you did the things,
Surgery, chemo, um, and sick like a dog, and
and
miscarriage all at the same time.
all of that was going on, and in no way did you. Was it any near death situation? Did you go through any of that? Was you questioning life?
I
Was
was
you
I was questioning life. I was questioning why, and really, I was okay until like the surgery and everything, like all that stuff. It's like devastating, but the chemo is where I was like, nah, no, what? Like the first, nobody knew how my body was going to respond. And just a few hours after I had my first treatment, I felt, oh my God, like the pain, and then 3 weeks after, I was on the phone with my sunshine, who just is a beautiful soul and who held space for me actually during, both diagnoses. But I was on the phone with her talking like, yeah, girl. And clumps of hair started coming out of my hand. Like I lost my hair. Like I called my hairdresser at the time, like, it's bring your razors, because I ain't finna walk around looking like a daggone, I don't know, newborn.
Cynthia doll from Rugrats.
From Rugrats. I'm not
Yeah,
gonna say Cynthia.
yeah.
So she came and shaved my head. And that was that. But a lot of pain, a lot of crying, a lot of just, I'm not even understanding this. Like a lot. And I was still leading praise and worship, when I felt well enough to do so. Sometimes I would just drop on the floor after a song and start screaming. Sometimes I have to excuse myself from the platform to go. And at that time, nobody in my church outside of my pastor and his wife knew what was
Mm,
going on. So they
mm.
had no idea. Why would I be like, ah? Like they had no idea, what was going on. But it was really, really, really hard. Like it was just a really hard, dark time.
But we got through it.
Oh
You
yeah,
beat it.
flying colors.
You beat cancer the first time.
The first time, beat it, beat it.
And
Told the doctors that's enough. They wanted me to do more treatment. I was like, no, ma'am, no, sir. That's enough. I can't. My fingernails are black. I don't got no eyebrows. I don't got no hair. I can't barely use the bathroom. I'm tired all the time. I'm in pain all the time. That's enough. And they were like, oh, well, don't have kids. And they were like, the cancer's going to come back if you do. And in 2009, I had Sydney. 2011, I had Zachary, and then I lived 16 cancer-free years.
body that. Body that. But no, body that, period. Ain't no but. Body that. Next chapter. The cancer's back.
The cancer's back, yo. What?
16 years later.
Like, what? What?
Jubilee, when that came across my phone screen, what? That's I think it was just like what? It was what? It was what? What are you doing? Like, wait, what? We are still. That's been her test. Her testimony has been. I got through the divorce. I got through this. I got through that. I'm a cancer survivor. Like, wasn't that the purpose of that? The purpose was to get through that and show the glory of God of how I got through that. Why are we back here again?
Let me tell you something.
Did you think that you were strong? We talked about strength earlier. Did you think that your body, your mind, your soul was strong enough to deal with that again?
You know, as devastated as I was, it's like God prepared me through everything else. So I had such a resolve and a peace. I had anxiety too, because it's just so unpredictable and no journey is the same. But this time around was different because it's like maybe you thought you were gonna like suffocate me or you were gonna stomp me out, but I remembered the last victory.
Mm.
And I think that's important for us to
Watch your voice. Watch your voice.
for real. Like, just think about it. Just
Woo!
high school. You know what I'm saying? Let's just think about high school. People used to have fights. Like the person who was always winning, right? Like the person who, like, you already knew, okay, if person A and person B, they fighting at the bus stop, you already know it's going to be on person A because they don't open up a can of whoop ass on a bunch of other people. Like, it's not even a thought. It's not even a thought. Why? That person's big and bad either because people constantly running from them. They don't want to show up for the fight, right? Or because they know, like, I'm gonna beat you. Like that's the case. So I think as believers, it's important for us to remember the last victory. There's a reason why we win. It's not just for the trophy. It's not
Mm,
just for the medal.
mm.
Not just for bragging rights. It's for stability. It's for faith. It's for elevation, to understand that another fight will come. That's the thing. Like, people came up in my inbox like, that's a curse. You gotta fast and pray. I'll fast and pray with you. If, that's a curse if it keeps on coming back and da da da. That's like, I don't receive any of that. The Bible says, and it's in Matthew, and I'm sorry that I don't direct quote it right, that the rain falls on the just and the unjust. So there's a couple of things that are constant and inevitable, and that's change and challenge.
Mm.
Like, let's not be dumb about this. Like, let's be real about it. We will experience change. Change is the only constant. We will experience challenges, and we don't get to pick them. And we don't get to pick when they come, which is why it's important for us to always stay in the prayer closet, praying, fasting, pulling close to Christ, staying close and getting filled up by the people that love us, right? Because it's gonna come, and we don't get to determine what that looks like. If I could have chosen, I wouldn't choose cancer again, right? But the fact that it came again, it didn't make me feel, I didn't have a level of insecurity, right? The first time I'm just like, I don't understand, because they're saying that I'm 26 years old, and this is such a phenomenon to them, because people at my age, I was so young, right? But because God allowed me to journey through that, and I had a template in my mind, that even though the challenge wasn't exactly the same, that residual left from the previous victory, it stayed with me. And it's like, no, I have a winning template, because I have a winning mindset, and I got a winning Jesus, and I got a winning village, right? Not alone. And so I am entering what to other people could look like a losing battle as a winner. I already won. Now I just need to walk it out. And walking it out also involves, feeling sad, wanting to vomit, wanting to run, feeling like, why me? Questioning God. That's a part of it. It doesn't make me a loser, because I'm like, yo, but really though? And now I have to sit here and look at my sons and be like, mommy got cancer? What? It took me a week to tell them. I couldn't even form my mouth to tell them. Because how does the only parent you have, now she's sick? What are we doing? Who's
And
gonna
you're not no sit down person. You
No.
you very Jubilee. You know what I'm saying? Very everywhere up. What happened? What we doing? So to be down and to which again, I think you handled that. I didn't witness the first one. The second one you handled so, and it went by quick. You healed, you did all the things, went through all the healings, all the stuff. And when I saw you again, you was back. Nothing changed. Like, you didn't miss a beat. And I'm like, yo, you just went through cancer. This is the second time, and you are back lit outside having a ball. I'm just like,
Yeah.
yo, if anybody is an example of just keeping it moving and keeping the faith, it's you. Like, all jokes aside. Because
Listen,
I don't know. I've seen people get anything and they're done. It's done. I'm
yes,
done.
yes.
You have cancer. Come on, that's the thing. That's the big C word we do not
You don't want it.
like and want. You
Lord,
understand?
yes.
You went through the things. I don't know how, deep you want to go with, how how you got through this one, but just kind of how'd you get through this one?
I think again, it was still that winning template. Like, shout out to my family, shout out to Jesus. Um, and shout out to like colleagues, neighbors. That's the thing. Like, sometimes we struggle and we go through hardship alone, and we don't have to.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And it's interesting because there was some parts I didn't even want to say, and mommy was like, "No, I'm starting to GoFundMe," because what was happening simultaneously was that I was unemployed. I was building up my consulting business, but I had gotten laid off. It took me almost 2 years to find a position. Like, I didn't have the bread to sustain. I didn't have like health insurance. You know what I'm saying? Like, and God, well, I had, well, not private health insurance, right? So, um, people came through. Like, the gifts, I kept every single little gift card that people send, and the little notes, and people, I mean, I was going to the mailbox with the wagon to collect packages from people who sent essential oils, bracelets, teddy bears, edible arrangements, pillows, bras, like Kleenex, Dial soap, body cloths, because I couldn't bathe for weeks. You know what I'm saying? Like, people came through. So I think that's the difference between the first time and the second, is that I allowed people in. the first time I pushed people out, and this time I pushed people out, or people kind of self-designated themselves
Mm.
out. But this time I shared and I let more people in. And so it became we shall overcome kind of thing. And I felt that and I needed that, you know. And
Mm.
I started a new position in the midst of it. And the support from work was amazing. Like it was the support that I experienced was just overwhelming. So that is a big part of, how I made it through. And it helped to lessen the anxiety that I was feeling, because in my head I'm like, can something work? You know? Um, and I think too, like I didn't like I said, push people out per se. This time I let more people in, like
Mm.
even neighbors. One of my friends now, I met her walking one day because I had just started getting back on my fitness, and I was walking. I started going 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 miles a day. Ran into her outside, asked her if she needed prayer. We became friends. She would come over, bring Starbucks. Like I started letting people in, but I pulled back so that I wasn't exerting as much energy and
Mm.
speaking as much or whatever. And really, that started happening at the end of 2023. I stopped posting. My last post was like December. I didn't know what was happening. I just felt led to just go inside and just to be quiet and just to be like, all right, Holy Spirit, what are you saying? And read my word. And then February came and it was this diagnosis. So I
Mm.
continued on that.
Mm.
I posted maybe 4 times for the year, if that. Like my life is so many pictures and stuff in here. It's only in my phone and with the people that I was enjoying. And so that's what I carried out of the experience now. I'm not living my life, not that I ever was, but I'm not living my life for y'all to see, oh, look where I'm at. Where I actually don't care. The people who love me and the people that show up for me and vice versa, they're here. They're here. They know how to access me. They know how to get to me. We vibing, we chilling, we moving, we going, we traveling, we taking pictures, we taking flicks, we celebrating birthdays. We doing poetry, we singing songs, we're growing, we're doing therapy, we praying, we fasting, we supporting, we showing up for one another. If you don't know about it, it's because you're not a part of the village, and that's okay.
So February 24,
Yep.
February 2024 is when you got diagnosed.
Yes.
So then we get to February 2025. It's a year. My birthday. We in DC celebrating me, and then we realize it's been a year. Hold up, what? Like we gotta celebrate? Like you got through? Like what? Like I don't think you get it.
Thank you.
So I don't think you understand that you beat cancer. First of all, and God bless everybody who's ever experienced cancer, lost someone to cancer.
Please. Yeah.
People don't get through that once, and you talking about twice. Your body's set up different. It's different, and it's not luck at all. I feel like it's purposeful. Do you feel like you got the purpose of why you've experienced what you've experienced, whether that's the divorce, whether that's the cancer, just anything? Do you feel like you get the purpose? You understand the purpose and reason yet, or you still think that's still building and you're still trying to figure that out?
I think it's still building. And like, I think that's one of the reasons why I don't live in a depressed state, because sometimes I take stuff on the chin and understand it's just a part of
Mm.
life. Like ain't nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I am special. Yeah, I am unique. But then at the same time, ain't nothing special about me. Like if you're born on this earth, you're gonna go through stuff. Some stuff is gonna hurt. It's gonna be unfortunate, right? But through it all, it's my perspective and my mindset that I treat like a garden. It's my mental garden. It's my spiritual garden, right? I'm more concerned with that being in a healthy place and aligned with what Christ wants than understanding anything else. Because you could drive yourself insane trying to figure out the answer to this question, right? Why? Like, I don't know. But what I do know is I have purpose. I'm here for a reason and I ain't
Mm-hmm.
done yet. That's why I'm still here. Right.
Mm.
And people can say, well, what are you trying to say? My grandmother didn't have, I'm not trying to say nothing about.
Everybody has their own story, their own journey, their own reason.
That's it. But what I'm saying for me is my work is not done. I will die empty. My goal is to pour out, to receive whatever God has for me, to be obedient to his will, to learn, to grow, to fall, to get up, all the things in service of my relationship with him and in service of my relationship with people, whoever he has me to serve. That's it. I do not spend large amounts of time, like just help me understand, get me to the core of this. No, because I'm still here, and I don't want to spend minutes trying to figure that out when I feel like that's one of God's like infinite wisdom questions. Like when Job, if we look at Job is a whole chapter. There's this dude.
Jubilee, they played with that man, but
They did play with him, but
Jubilee, they played with that man,
they
and
played with
that's something that I'm gonna, if heaven and we can sit down and really like, I need Job, and I need Jesus, and we got to have because I'm gonna say, why did y'all
why y'all play with
play
him.
with this man? Now, I love the story. I love the whole everything about it, and just testing his faith, and he lost everything and got it back
I know,
even more.
damn near died.
But come on, you know what I mean? But no, for real, I get what you're saying. Yeah, I get what you're
I
saying.
mean, yes, and I mean, it's not the world's top story, right? Because it's just like, why would you have to go through all of that? Like, what were you trying to prove? But I think the idea is, first of all, there's a lot of lessons in there,
A bunch.
including his friends and what they were saying, because they wasn't no damn good around the stuff that they were saying. So to me, I pull a lot from that story, even around your surroundings and who's surrounding you when you're going through. Sometimes we fail not because we didn't have the wherewithal or because we weren't connected, but the people we're connected to, they're not connected, and so they're drawing all sorts of energy away from us, and they're putting negative energy and information into the space that's not aligned with the word of God. So how you gonna win if you ain't right within? Okay.
Come on.
So all I'm saying is Job got to a place, it gets so frustrating when you do be like, yo, why? Like, why is this happening to me? Like, I tithe. I got married as a virgin. Check box. I checked all the boxes. And it's like, yeah, but that's not how my kingdom works. I never promised you that if you met all these criteria and if you checked off all the boxes, that you were going to live a life that was free of challenge, that was free of I never promised you that. If you don't believe me, why don't you look at the life of Jesus? Why don't you look at the fact that the man was born through a virgin, right? This is if this is what we're saying we believe as believers, born of a virgin, didn't do nothing to nobody, came down, was healing, laying hands, the blind was seeing, the sick was healed, feeding people, right? Giving parables, teaching people, and he got betrayed and hung and crucified and brutally beaten. He ain't do nothing to nobody. So what do we think will happen to us? Like, you know what I'm saying? So I've accepted that, and I think that's a big part of my own journey. Yes. Have I been like, God, why? Like, I'm not understanding. Like, what did I do? Like, yes, I've had those moments, right? And I think that's the humanity of it. And I also understand that I don't need to know the details or whatever more than I need to know that God is with me, that He's Emmanuel, that He's working alongside me, that I'm never alone, that He's sending support, that He's a healer, that He's a balm in Gilead, that He's a keeper, right? That He's going to give me peace that surpasses understanding. Like, I need to know those things more than I need to know why it happened. That's for me. And no, so I'm not mad at him. I'm not, because when I couldn't speak and when I didn't understand and when all I could do was cry and I had no words and I sat on the floor and no one could understand what I was going through, Emmanuel came and sat next to me. That's where I met Emmanuel.
I've always been the kid who asked why. What do you mean no? Explain to me why. I'm always asking. Well, why? Well, wouldn't I'm always trying to find the logic. So when things happen to me, it doesn't make me stray away from God. It makes me want to go towards Him more, because what? Like, I really be like, yo, you gotta break this down. But Jubilee, you're so optimistic, and you definitely, even through this whole conversation, has mentioned Jesus over and over again. Clearly you have faith, clearly you believe, clearly this is what's been keeping you. So for somebody who turned this on off the strength of me, right? Or just off the strength of, let me just press play and see what they talking about, and got engulfed in the conversation, but don't believe, or got some sense of God, or some sense of heard about Jesus or whatever, but like they not, you know, I don't know what that is. My grandmother was into that. I haven't been to church since I was 6. You know what I'm saying? Or just they just hear and don't really have that, or they believe, I believe there's something out there. I'm more spiritual, that saying. And how can you talk to the person on the corner, the person at the club right now, the person that's depressed in their crib, the person that is just going to work and coming home because they're just here, they exist? How can you, I want to say, sell Christ to them, but based off of what what would you say to them?
I would say I'm sorry. I apologize. Because I find that many people, and of course, I know not everybody believes. We've got atheists and agnostics and all other
Yeah,
faiths, right? But I find that a lot of people who have been connected to the Christian faith at some point have a lot of qualms with it. Like, no, this pastor did this, or I saw the way they treated my mother, and she died after she scrubbed the floors in the churches, and then they even come see her in the
come
hospital. And
on,
like these be real things happening.
and
So
so on and so on.
and so on and so on. This happened. They was sleeping with this one in the choir, and da da da. And I never went back, because sometimes we just aren't really good PR people, right? And not trying
Mm,
to speak about it as a business, right?
yeah,
We are the hands and the feet of Jesus, and so if we're not aligned or treating people in a way that's aligned with how Christ would want us to, that's bad PR, because people automatically are like, well, then Jesus is like that. And it's like, no, you met some humans that did not necessarily show up the way Jesus would in a situation. And for that, I apologize. And I would emphasize that Jesus loves you, that he sent that he came and he died for us, right? For good reason, because we're worth it, right? And because we are his image in this earth, and that he has great plans for you. And try it one day. Try one day just talking to him, right? Forget the formalities, forget the fashion, and forget the buildings and all of that, and just have a conversation. When you go into the corner store to get your coffee, or your honey bun, your bacon, egg, and cheese, like talk to him, because he's literally closer to you than the breath that you're taking, the air that you're breathing.
build the relationship.
Just
Even
build.
if I always say all the time, even if you feel like you're talking to yourself,
Yep.
because we do talk to ourselves,
Yes,
right?
very often. Very often.
Even if you feel like you're talking to yourself,
Yes.
talk.
Yeah.
We was talking
Invite
about
him
mustard seed earlier,
in.
and
Yep.
how every day I realize how important that is, what that means. Like, just having this much, all you need is this much of anything. All you
Yeah.
need is this much of belief that you're going to get that job. This much.
Yep.
That's all you need. And watch how life play with that.
That's right. That's right. Faith is power.
Faith is power. And if anybody, and I'm in an era of, I'm growing, and I have my woes about a lot of things, and my questions about life and the world and everything. But it ain't that believing in Christ is not shake. It's not shaking. It's nothing has surpassed that. Like, nothing has made sense. Maybe I was talking about logic earlier. That makes sense to me, right? But I know a lot of people don't believe, and I just feel like our life has to. If anybody's out there that watches me and see me still laughing and dancing and smiling and know my story, that's because I believe. That's the only reason why I'm sitting here talking to you. I said this in my last interview. I probably said the one before that. I'm gonna always say that, because that is literally why I'm sitting here talking to y'all. Because if it
Yes.
was up to me and up to my strength and up to my doing, I used to judge people who didn't want to be here anymore. I used to be like, "You're giving up," until you get so low,
Yeah. Well, you don't want to be here no more.
you
And then,
get it.
yeah. Oh yeah.
But there's something keeping you. There's something that's still happening. That I know. That encounter, you can't take away from me. Like, that's how, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. I do.
Anyway, before I get up and start running, uh, morning cup with Jubilee. I don't think I've ever shared this with you, but you inspired me to start Conversations with a Genius back. Watching you do that. Um, you know, I don't want to do no podcast. I don't want to do this no more. I don't want to do this. Da, 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 da. I don't have the right equipment. I don't have the right camera. I want it to look like this. I've been doing this so long. It got to be like this. And a little voice or God or whatever, right? I felt utilize what you have. Don't worry about numbers. Don't worry about views. Use your skill. Your gift will make room for you. Ask those questions. You know people. They don't have to be A-list celebrities. You know people who are doing their thing in their own life. Go back to the essence of why you even started Conversations with Genius. You were home in the pandemic. A lot was going on, and you wanted people to take the time and get to know the people that was in your life, the other geniuses in your life. And you realize, I know mad people and they all got a story and they're doing something. So just do that again. Just get right back to it. Put your laptop on, grab that microphone you have, and just talk. In the midst of me feeling that, you're doing Morning Cup with Jubilee. You would think ABC Viacom gave you a budget, right? And they are promoting you have billboards all over the city.
So,
And I love soon. And that's another thing. You speak life on everything. So what was that conversation? What was that idea? And how did that play out?
so one thing is for certain, two things for sure. God's always gonna send people when you're being a steward over what he gave you. So when we see things not aligning in our lives, we need to check our own belief system, our own, faith, and whether or not we are aligned with what he said. Because once he shares, and for me, the idea is the voice print. I heard that more than 10 years ago, right? So I became an author when the Lord dropped it in I
Explain
wrote.
what voice print means.
Voice print is just Jubilee's unique way of communicating through song, through writing, through speaking, and connected to my voice print, just like a fingerprint is unique. My voice print is unique. It brings light, it brings joy, it brings healing. It helps people to experience deliverance.
Mm-hmm.
It's midwifery, right? How people birth things into from the spiritual realm into the earth realm, right? And it's necessary. And anybody who's called in these spaces, right? Singer, songwriter, poet, artist, author, writer, speaker, whatever. We have voice prints, and so everybody's not called to everybody, but you are called to somebody. And if you ain't speaking, how they gonna hear you? And if they don't hear you, how they gonna come? So it's just like the
Watch
beginning
that.
of the cycle. The
Mm-hmm.
beginning of the cycle is the one understanding, this purpose here, right, between you and God. And then the second is saying yes to it. Like sometimes we hear it, but we don't say yes because we don't have the mustard seed. We don't believe, right? Or we're thinking about just what's out there and not what's right here in front of me. So it's like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, Lord, please enlarge my territory. Where? You don't even sweep your kitchen. What territory you want? But you want a 12 range stove? You don't even clean the stove. You got four, like, what are we saying? A large, I got a 12-room mansion.
You didn't even work with what you
That
got. Mm.
you don't like cleaning your own studio apartment. A lot of what we
You need to stop talking to me, first of all. Because
experience.
literally as you're talking, I think about a bunch of things at one time. I'm saying here, like, when I get off this thing, I want to go to sleep. I can't go to sleep. I need to work out. But before I work out, I need to clean up.
And you could do
Literally that thought, you started saying that. So I heard you. What I'm saying is this. That's been my life recently. Let me see what you do with what I gave you.
Mike, let me tell you something. When I went into education in 2003. I didn't even have a plan to go into education. I was going to go to law school, but I felt the Holy Spirit speak to me. I studied abroad in France. He spoke to me. I went towards education. That's a whole nother episode, right? I get there and I'm one day, right? This is probably in my second year of teaching. I'm walking up the stairwell and I'm forgetting this lady's name, but she was like a prophetess on the low. She was like a pastor, but she was also like one of the teachers. And she stopped me and she said, "What do you plan on doing after this?" She was like, "You're not going to be here long. You're not going to be here long." I didn't know what that lady was talking about, right? I taught for 2 more years. So year 4, right? I applied to be trained to become a leader. I had no experience, not in the leadership field, right? But what was I doing for the 4 years? For the 4 years, I was getting up, I was lesson planning, I was showing up for my kids, I was breaking up fights, not that I should have had to, sitting there in common planning meetings, coming in early, staying late, stewarding what I had, reading books, trying to figure out how will I be a better teacher, like getting corrected, making mistakes, doing dumb things as a teacher, doing wise things as a teacher. And then when the opportunity came, I applied for this program and had no experience, to the point where at the interview they whipped around, Mike, and they said, everybody introduce yourselves. And went around, got to me. I was like, hello, my name is Jubilee and I'm a third grade teacher. Everybody else around the table, I'm an AP. My father built the White House. Everybody, all these accolades. I was a teacher. I went to the bathroom, and every single break we got, I was like, Lord, help me, please. Help me, please. I don't know what I'm doing. 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 The interview was from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. because it's supposed to be the day in the life of a principal. I left there feeling like I don't know what the heck I did. I didn't know if I did good, did bad, whatever. A month later, I get a call. You're exactly who we are looking for. My salary doubled. Teacher salary to leader salary doubled. Okay? Almost a $50,000 raise. Stewardship. We talk so much about the big dreams and all of that, and God wants us to, because he's a dreamer, because he's a creator, and he made that for us. But little becomes much in the hands of the Lord. And if we are faithful over little, a few things, he'll make us rule over much. But we've got to be faithful over the little things. Keep dreaming big, steward over the little things. Stop skipping steps.
And I'm a skip a stepper. But in the long run, you look back, nothing's complete. You didn't get that from this and this, and it's a thing. It's a thing. But I've been trying to be obedient and been trying to, that's all I keep hearing, work with what you have, and that's what I'm forced. I feel like I'm forced to do that, and I get it. I get why, right? So back to Morning Cup, because we kind of went this way.
Yeah, okay, right.
So now you was working with what you have. You built Morning Cup.
That's that. And sometimes you work with what you have. Like, this idea came to me in, I want to say 2021, but I didn't know how it would manifest. I wasn't exactly sure how it would show up. I had started a podcast called Jubilee's Jewels somewhere during the pandemic, and I fell off with that. I don't even remember why or whatever. Maybe I got a new job. I don't know, 5011 things. But so that fell by the wayside, but I knew I still needed to do something with my voice print. And I journal a lot, so I can't even remember exactly how this came to be. Oh, I journaled a lot, and then I put a post on Facebook, like, what y'all think about a morning show? I am a morning person. A lot of the stuff that I talk about with mindset and all of that, it happens in the morning. I think if you can, capture your morning and get yourself oriented, you can really have a vibrant, effective, productive day, even on the worst day. So that's what I believe about morning. So that's where that came from. And then I put a post on Facebook like, hey, what y'all think about Morning Cup of Joy or something like that? And they were like, one of my vocal coaches, she was like, why not just use your name? And I was like, Morning Cup of Jubilee. And I say, I see it as an international morning talk show. See how Kelly and whatever his name is, and that's what it is. I have guests on there. We talk about mental health. We talk about, how to keep your vibrance for life and how to keep your joy up and positivity even through tough times. And that's what it is. That's Morning Cup of Jubilee.
I want to be a guest.
Great.
You want to interview me?
Yes.
I want to see, if I got it. I want to go on there for I love it. It's definitely a morning show, and like I said, you would already think that you have a live studio audience and 10 cameras and a full production staff, and that's something that you speak that because you said it's gonna happen. That's what God showed you, and it's gonna happen.
It is. I believe it's gonna start as a radio show. Like, I see myself in the radio, a Breakfast Club kind of.
I still see myself in that space.
Right? Good. Keep seeing yourself.
I still see myself with that. And I also want to let the public know who's watching how much life you spoke into Conversations with the Genius. Like just the other day when I called you, because y'all don't know, I called Jubilee. She answers the phone, I just start going, and I just feel like, and I'm like, but why is God, and like, wasn't it? And she'd be like, she let me get it out, and then she'll say what she got to say, and then I hang up the phone feeling better. But you spoke a lot over this, and even talking to you right now, I'm like, I get it. I'm getting why I have to do this. We have to just have a conversation, speaking on things and having open and start and being a conversation. I'm a conversation starter around friends, around family. I don't know. I feel like they almost look at to me like, what's the subject today? Like, what are we going to talk about? And I know how to, like, that's a gift. That's a talent. I
It is.
didn't know it was. But
Yeah.
when I watch people struggle to keep a conversation going, it's like, oh, just
Say this.
say this. Or if they're interviewing somebody and they don't, it's like, where's the, but I'm realizing, oh, that's a skill.
That's right.
And I have it.
Yes,
I'm
you do.
owning it.
Yes.
I'm owning it.
Good.
If you could sing, you could dance, own it, right? If you
Very
could do
good.
this, you could do that, own it.
Yes.
So I have to do it, and you speak life on it, and it's teaching me how to speak life. I'm learning not to. I feel like your friends and your family should inspire you. You should take something from everybody. I called one of my friends the other day and told him because the way he's such in his soft life era. So whenever I'm doing too much, I'll be like soft life. Like I get it. You don't got to do all that. Just relax. Like it's not that deep. Then I get from you. Be optimistic, be
Yes.
realistic, but
Yes.
be optimistic. Like, why are you saying I can't? No, say it's gonna work out. It's gonna happen
It is.
until you believe it.
That's right. And until it happens. And
The music, because you
music.
sing down, you performing. What we doing with that?
Yeah, we back in the studio. I was so today's episode of our Morning Cup of Jubilee, I have Brandon Watts on there, who I love to work with. He's a singer, songwriter in his own right.
I called y'all legends today because y'all are beast, both of y'all.
Well, thank you. I humbly accept that compliment. I love working with Brandon. I love working with people, right? Brandon is a good example of it that helped me to be free in the creative space. And not everybody does that, right? I think after spending years and years of just kind of being suppressed and not tapping into this side of me, that's what I need around me. So I went to the studio just this past Monday, started working on a new song. We both creating on the spot. And it's about to be another single out because let me tell you, I'm not holding back, especially because last year I pulled in, just battling cancer, just dealing with that kind of stuff, and just really absorbing life. Um, I had to put some stuff down. I chose to put stuff down because I know some people be like, "Well, we've seen people battle through," but yeah, that wasn't my focus. And so I put stuff down. But this year, I am picking stuff up. I have been called a workaholic. I have been called busy. And maybe I guess that's what it looks like, but I'm purpose driven. That's what I am. And so maybe to the outside eye looking in, it just looks like I be just looking for stuff to fill my calendar. No, I really want to take a nap is what I want to do. But if I'm gonna die empty, some naps I'm gonna just have to forego and put purpose in its place. So I'm purpose driven, and I keep my ear to heaven because I don't want to do nothing that God is like, nah, not right now. Right. So anything you see me doing is interview with you, going to the studio, Morning Cup of Jubilee. I believe that it's aligned to my purpose and what I'm supposed to be doing now and my voice print. Right. I got songs, I write songs, they're encouraging, they're truth telling. Why am I holding on to them? When they gonna come out? When I'm 99? So I'm back in the studio and we about to have a single probably in the next couple months. Stay tuned. And maybe an album, because I want to do an album.
I need to do an interlude or something. Put me on there. Let me do like a DJ drop. I don't know. Let me do something.
Okay.
Jubilee. We talked divorce. We talked surviving cancer twice, which is still crazy. We talked Morning Cup with Jubilee, which is your what is it, a podcast?
Show.
International talk show.
Morning talk show.
Morning talk show.
Mm-hmm.
I just know. I just know it's gonna be on, and you're gonna be like my next guest, and I'm gonna come out and I'm gonna start crying. You're gonna be like, Mike, what's going on? I'm gonna say, you remember?
Yes, Mark.
Like, I see people do that now. Like, you remember when we used to? We're gonna have that moment.
It's,
The music. What's your favorite song you put out? Do you have one?
oh man, it's a toss up between Traded It All and Good Out of Bad.
Mm-hmm.
Good Out of Bad I wrote as I was going through my divorce. Um, Traded It All, Kayla, my vocal coach, wrote and produced that. Traded It All, and it's just as true. But Good Out of Bad I wrote, and it really just speaks to what the hell I was going through, at that time. So it's a toss up between those two.
I've asked you this a couple times because we did the Conversationz with Genius back in the day. We did
Mhm.
Mike Genius podcast. I think I did your stuff. We went
Yep.
live for certain things. I'm
Yep.
gonna ask you now, like I always ask, what's your genius now in 2025? What do you feel like it is
Hope.
today?
It's hope.
Jubilee, if you don't.
It's hope. I'm a hope dealer. It's hope, right? Like things come, things go. People come, people go. Challenges come, challenges go. But I think if we can be steadfast in hope, then you'll never die. Your dreams never die because you still believe. Like even on the toughest days, like I still have hope. Like I still see possibilities. I still see elevation. I still see healing. I still see,
In the midst of
yeah, I still see it.
inflation and recession and the president that's and this and that, you still see that. You still have hope.
Still. And it's not because it's not in these people, it's in Christ, right? He is my hope. And I believe that I really hold fast to that as a mindset. Like the hope and the optimism, they go hand in hand. And you can't make me believe that we're in doomsday, like the world is ending. I just I just have a high level of hope that things will get better. And I've seen it in my own life. Things were doomsday, doomsday like, or whatever you want to say. Days were dark. Some days I didn't even open my blinds, you know, and
Yeah.
I just let myself feel those things. But I didn't let go of the hope because this is a moment. This is a transition. This is a moment in time. Um, but it's not all my time and it's not all my days, and I don't have to allow it to be. And at some point, something's gonna break. Something's got to give. Something's got to change. Somebody's gonna show up, like at some point. So I'm just gonna hold on to my hope because I think when you lose your hope, you lose your life.
Well, there you have it. Jubilee. Once again, dropping jewels and getting me together. And I'm gonna go sweep my kitchen, like you talked about earlier, and get back to what I need to do. Always a great conversation.
Thank you for having me.
And yeah, we'll talk soon.